Well, hello. Well, hello, Mike Manley. How are you,
Hello,
sir?
Jamar.
How are you, sir?
I think I'm okay.
Already,
All the parts are attached.
already, the East Coast is back under a storm warning. I ran to the market before the show, and all of the cheese curls were gone.
Well, that's good because you can let the people in Texas have the cheese curls. They need the cheese curls.
Yeah, sip of coffee for Texas. They're going through it right now. They're not equipped for this weather. So, yeah, some of the pictures I've seen are crazy. Like there's a big pile up in Tennessee. So just be safe out there, y'all.
But they won't be watching us, so we won't know until later.
Well, luckily we have this on replay, so they can
That's
check
right.
it out once the
Yeah.
power comes back on. Welcome everybody to the podcast. This is your favorite pandemic podcast, Pencil to Pencil, brought to you every Wednesday at 8 p.m. EST by your good bud and Philadelphia's favorite son in the Black Dick Cavett, Jamar Nicholas. Hello. And I'm also joined by the proverbial hip by my best bud and modern master of comic books, Mike Manley. What's going on, Mike Manley?
Just finished laying out the 15-page story for the Dark Hawk 30th anniversary.
Wow. Where's
so
the
now
time?
So now I'm going to tighten up the pencils and then go to inks starting probably tomorrow.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, man. We say all the time, like the cartoonist magic trick is somehow making time bend to your will, and you fit it in somehow. So on that note, our good buddy JRD says to Mike, "Congratulations on your milestone. Pray tell, what is he talking about, Mike Manley?"
This is my 11th anniversary of drawing Judge Parker.
Wow.
The comic strip. So, I've done Judge Parker for 11 years. I think I signed. I remember the contract took effect, I think, on like the 15th of February, 2010.
Wow. I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I do too, because it was a
You had to do the work.
Right, yeah, but it was also kind of real dicey 5-6 months before I got the gig because I was doing another job and the publisher basically went fish belly up and bounced a $10,000 check on me.
I remember that too.
Right, and I was in school at the time, and it happened right when like tuition was due for the next semester. I turned down other work to do this job.
Yeah.
Was a bad, and then within a couple of months, I ended up getting the offer to do Judge Parker. I had to try out. I had to do a couple weeks, and because Ed Barretto was sick, and then unfortunately passed away within probably I think like a month or two. And so the one thing about comic strips is I'm sure Rob, our guest tonight, will attest. It's got to be a strip every day. There are no fill-ins, right? They can't. Maybe with Peanuts for a while when Charles Schultz died, they reran stuff. But if you're a live continuity strip, the idea of saying, well, we're going to suddenly run 2 weeks of Judge Parker from 1962. Papers didn't pay for that, so when somebody goes, they have to find somebody right away.
Yeah,
and so they called me, and at first it was like maybe Barretto was going to come back, but then he didn't.
He didn't make it. Yeah. Our good buddy JRD says, I remember seeing Mike's name, then scanning the strips, doing a double take, like, wait, what? They got him? Guess I got to read Judge Parker now. So
yeah. And it's funny because it was not a strip that I ever read as a kid. And I was into the adventure strips, the classic adventure strips, like especially Flash Gordon and Rip Kirby, the stuff that Raymond did, stuff Williamson did, like X-9 and Star Wars. And then the soap strips that I was into were the stuff by Leonard Starr and Stan Drake, Frank Robbins, You know, Alex Kotsky, who did Apartment 3G. Those are like the top. I wasn't even so much of a Kniff fan. I was more a fan of his Terry stuff than the Steve Canyon. And I remember as a kid seeing Steve Canyon, I think, still ran in the Detroit Free Press. And it just seemed kind of odd. The style seemed kind of odd to me, you know, which was 20 years before was like the sort of normal style. It's like if you did a Kniff style with a kind of Cupid doll head way of doing faces now, people would go, what's that about? Yeah. But
yeah, that's, and also for some of the newer viewers who are following our guest in tonight, it's also the stuff of legend, Mike Manley, that not only are you drawing Judge Parker daily, but you also have duties on the Phantom strip also.
Yep, I do both. I do not do the Phantom Sunday, but I do the Judge Parker Sunday. So it's, you know, you just have to keep growing. It's like you don't want to lose. The main thing about this job is you don't want to lose momentum. We all have those days where you're like, today was kind of like, But what I found the real trick is you sit in the chair, and if you sit in the chair and you make yourself sit in the chair, you will produce. You may not always like it. It may not always be fast, but I will produce a minimum of 2 pencil daily strips or a minimum of at least 1 comic book page. Or like today I'm working on the Sunday, so I will get the Sunday done.
Right.
I sit here, it will get done.
The momentum has to go forward. Right, no matter what, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get on my wall in my studio a neon sign that says "ass in the chair."
Yeah, I think that's a big that's really the secret to success. I don't think anybody who produces a volume of work, which any newspaper strip artist does, cannot produce a successful strip if they were not sitting down. I would imagine 10 hours a day, easy.
Yeah.
You know, maybe some strips are a little bit easier to draw, right? Like Wizard of Id is easier to draw than the Phantom, right? Like you're not looking up bazookas and Chinese Lugers and, you know, the line that you draw in Wizard of Id would probably be a little bit easier than the line that I would have to draw in the Phantom, but still, you know.
Right. And I think what's really interesting about us cartoonists in this platform that we've created, Mike, is that we're all kindred spirits, like in this, it's like a kinship of cartooning, right? And I think that's what makes this really special, is that we can have guests on like Rob and like Jerry Kraft and Jim Borgman and Sidney Wilkinson and like all of these like A+ people, because we all speak the same language.
Hermit. We all speak the same hermit. Or like the Maytag repairman, you know?
Yeah, right. And, you know, I think that's special. There's so many things on YouTube that aren't this, that I think that's really what makes Pencil to Pencil so special, because we're talking pro stuff with other pros. There's no neckbeard action going on. And I even told Rob before we went on, this isn't a 20 questions. Well, tell us about, you know, like we're not doing that. We're kicking it. And I think it'll be a really good episode. So let's get started. Thanks so much for talking with me, Mike. Before we get started, Pencil to Pencil is always brought to you. You see the John up there, my Philly word for the night. The John right there is evergreen.
That's our word every night. Tonight's not a special John night.
Well, we got Philly cats in the building tonight.
Yeah,
so
we got Philly.
We got a rep. So the John up there says Clip Studio Paint is our sponsor. Thanks to all the people at Graphicsly that makes one of the best software packages that cartoonists use today. And also our good buddy John Morrow over at Tomorrow's Publishing, who publishes Draw Magazine and other great comic magazines of historic note. So go check them out. So, Mike, tonight we have a really special guest. Robb Armstrong is, and I've read in his bio sheet, is the most syndicated African-American comic strip artist today. And he could probably talk about numbers and stuff like that. And that's super exciting. But also, I think is what exciting is that Robb has carved out a career for himself. And I think he's been in the papers for 30 years, close to 30 years.
It started, I think, 89 or 90.
Yo, that's bananas. I'd love to see a stack. Hopefully he'll show us the stack. I got to see the stack. But we have 2 hours. Well, not anymore, but we have a nice chunk of time in front of us. We're going to get to know Robb, talk about his origin story, how he got to where he is and where he's going next.
Where the radioactive cartoonist bid him.
That's right. Also, for anybody watching live, if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, feel free to ask a question. Type into the comments or in the chat, and I will see it. I can't guarantee I'll get on, but let's try our best. So let's bring in Robb. Hey, Robb Armstrong, welcome to Pencil to Pencil.
Hey, what's up, Jamar? Hey, Mike, congratulations, man.
Hey,
anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, you probably
That's awesome.
Yeah, you are what, pushing 30, 40 years?
My strip, I'm in my 31st year doing JUMPSTART.
Okay, 30, right.
Wow, that's great.
I have an anniversary book. Is it too soon to plug my book?
No, go for it.
Go ahead, yeah.
Look at that, it's right there. Wow.
Look
there
at
it is.
look at that.
So yeah, this is my my treasury, which I'm extremely excited about. You can find it on Amazon or on robbarmstrong.com. But yeah, my 30th treasury just came out, and my actual launch date was 1989, October 2nd. So it's 30 plus years.
Wow. And you remember that day, right? You remember the day you ran and grabbed a newspaper
Are you kidding? Those were the days of, this was 1989. You could go to a newsstand. You could run literally to the corner and buy the paper. So I was, at that point, I would buy at least one paper every day. Now, we kind of rely on Go Comics, which is, for those who don't, I think it's great that you don't need a physical paper now. I mean, I kind of miss it, but Go Comics is great. There's a great, I've got a nice positioning there. When you log on to gocomics.com, JUMPSTART is one of the first. I think the Far Side comes up first, and Kathy, and then JUMPSTART. So, yeah, man.
Robb, before we get deep into this, our good buddy Tim Fielder is a fantastic comic artist in his own right. Asked, what's the best way to support your new book? To buy it from you or on Amazon?
It really is. If you go to my website, go to robbarmstrong.com, ROBB Armstrong.com. Only because you can buy other stuff there if you want, like a mask or a hoodie or something like that.
And do you personalize and sign stuff too?
Yeah, if someone wants to send me to mail to my studio, I'll leave my address with you guys. Jamar, you can just tell them, send me your book. I'll sign it and I'll send it back. You have to pay for postage, obviously, but yeah, I would love to do that.
Oh, very cool. So, I don't even know where to start, Robb, because we were talking a little bit before we went on air about some of the ley lines that kind of cross our lives. You're from Philadelphia. I'm from Philadelphia. You're a little older than me. So I could spend time talking about old Philadelphia. And what I mean by old Philadelphia is the Philadelphia that we grew up in looked like Trading Places, the old Eddie Murphy movie where everything was dirty.
Oh yeah.
and now it's like a whole new thing. But I think one of the main things that happens with Philadelphians is that no one gives you anything in Philadelphia.
No.
And you
give you a beat down.
Oh yeah. and I think that pressure, and I can't speak for any other city, but I think the pressure of no one caring about you at all kind of presses diamonds out of coal. So,
until you make it, and then they love you.
Oh, well, there you go.
Then they love you.
Mike, after I made it, in air quotes, Philadelphia, the Philadelphia news, I hate to say this, I don't want to sound ungrateful because the Philadelphia Inquirer and the Daily News separately support JUMPSTART. And it's very rare for any newspaper, any city with multiple newspapers to have your comic strip in both. But the Philadelphia newspapers have my back, right? But it took over a year for them to pick up JUMPSTART after I was syndicated. I was in the LA Times first. I was in the LA Times and the Detroit Free Press before I was in any Philly paper. It was really weird. I was a little freaked out by it, actually.
So one thing, Mike, and then I'll let you go. So when that happened, was it hard for people to believe that you were actually in the papers because it wasn't in the Philly papers?
Yeah, man. I was telling people in those days, I was over the moon and very talkative about this thing that no one could see.
Right.
There was no internet. I was just telling people, man, trust me, man. I've made it. You can see it. All you have to do is get on a plane or something like that. You can see my work.
Go to Chattanooga,
man.
Pick up the newspaper in the airport. Now, did you go down and sell it yourself? Because the one of the things that people don't realize now, they don't really have them anymore, but all of the syndicates had salesmen, and they would go travel around the country and try to get the free press to drop this and to get that, or you can get this. They had, I think, different tiers, different deals, but that's what people would do. And I imagine in the beginning you had to produce some kind of press packet that they would take and show to people, would have a sample, like a month of strips and a couple Sundays and some ad art, right?
Yo, Jamar, I'm wearing cross colors on the cover of my press kit that Mike is talking about. That joint, I had that joint in a frame. I used to carry this thing around. My press kit was my only publicity. You know what I mean? I would physically carry this thing around. That was my only proof that I was a syndicated cartoonist. I showed my friends and my family, and here's my press kit. They're like, "You're what?"
Yeah.
The press kit. They're like, "I don't understand what that is. What are you doing?"
That's great.
Literally wearing cross colors, man. Like, yo, you couldn't tell me nothing. But here's the thing. I think they still have salesmen. I mean, I think I'm with Andrews McMeel now.
Right.
But I signed my deal with United Feature Syndicate in Manhattan. And it was a different setup there. Real old school. And they had to physically fly around. And once in a while, they would invite me to talk on the phone with a newspaper. But for the most part, I never had any contact with the client papers. Today, zero. I don't. My new syndicate don't. They don't. I've never talked to a newspaper directly. But
yeah, I don't think I've ever talked.
Very exciting.
Yeah, yeah. It's a different. It's different. Yeah. Well, did you?
They don't want any.
Did you go up to New York to pitch the stuff? Like, how did you pitch it? Did you like do a month and send it in, and then they called you up? How did you start that?
How'd I get the deal originally? How
did you go about putting it together?
When I got out of college, I actually went right into the advertising business, not into the cartooning business. So I was working at a variety of ad agencies as art director, and I liked it. I mean, I liked it, but I loved this. But I was able to get an apartment, and I was in my early 20s, and I was able to buy a little Subaru. Which, my advertising career was exciting. I was going on photo shoots, and I'll go to New York to shoot some TV commercials, but not that many as a junior art director. But I was getting exposure to all these different things, and in my spare time. Well, this wasn't my spare time. While working in the advertising agency, I would literally be working on what became JUMPSTART. It wasn't called JUMPSTART then. It was called Cherry Top back then. And I'd be at my desk with my drawing pad, with my client storyboards in there. It'd be flipped open like this to the page with the client, and then the next page would have my comic strip. And I'd be literally drawing And then, then I'd be in a copier. You know, there's always a Xerox room, and I was right next to it. Every agency I was at, I was next to that room. I'd be in there drawing. And, you know, those years are fraught with rejection. I think anyone with an interest in this, if you're watching this podcast, you have an interest in the business that we're in, you have to understand that rejection is a part of it, and there's nothing personal about it. You're not. How can I put this? You might be good enough, actually, to have a syndicated strip and still get rejected, or you might stink. Like I honestly don't know. Like I have people show me, what do you think of this? I'm like, I'm not in the syndicate business. I'm not. What's happening with it? I say, oh, what's that? Well, I'm getting rejected. I'm like, okay, good. Those were the best years of my life. Getting rejected, just coldly rejected, repeatedly. It destroys some people who are faint of heart. It might hurt my feelings today to go through that kind of rejection. But when I was young, I was in my 20s, and I was working at that ad agency, and I got these letters, and they said almost nothing. Sometimes they would just have nothing. They would just say, here's your stuff back. When they started criticizing my actual work, and they stopped sending me form letters, when they started telling me in writing that I sucked, I was like, so you're saying there's a chance? I am closing in. Like this guy just called me unprepared for this. Like he's talking to me. He didn't send me the same letter he sent out to 500 different cartoonists. He said, Robb Armstrong, we don't like your work. I'm like, whoa. You guys, I'm not making that up. I'm not trying to make some point. It's not hyperbole. I knew when they began to reject the content of what I was sending them, commenting negatively on actual strips, I knew syndicated fourth. And I was right. Yeah. Like when you start getting close, they start telling you what a crappy cartoonist you are. And I was like, oh my God. I was working in this ad agency, and I got a so it's a bit of a long story, you guys, but a little bit of time.
Go for it.
So I was working in this ad agency, and I ran out on my lunch break. So my lunch break to me was like, I guess they give you an hour technically. I abused the lunch break. I thought the lunch break was the best thing about corporate America. You could leave the building and do whatever you needed to do. And I would never eat on a lunch break. I would just do business. Like I was on fire to get my strip syndicated, right? So I went to the Philadelphia Daily News, and I ran in off the street. And when I was in high school, I had a great mentor named Signe Wilkinson, who's now a big shot, Pulitzer Prize winner and stuff. But she happened to mentor me when I was in Philadelphia people, and she showed me how to go in, cold call, and just show up. Hey, you know. So I was at the ad agency, and I ran into the Daily News in Philadelphia, and I showed my stuff. And this guy said, "No, we don't buy any comic strips. Have you thought about syndication? No, your stuff's not bad." I was like, have I thought about it? Come on, man. Of course I'm trying to get syndicated, man. It's hard, man. They just kind of send your stuff back in a vanilla envelope. You don't hear anything and blah, blah, blah. He said, you know what? A friend of mine named Maury Turner would be open. You should call him. I was like, you know Maury Turner? He's like, yeah, he's a really nice guy. You guys, true story. He said, here's his phone number. You should call him. You guys, it was like an actor being slid Jack Nicholson's phone number. Like you should call this guy. I bet he'd help you. I was like, what? Man. I called him first thing in the morning, man. Maury turned to pick the phone up and said, hey, brother. I said, Mr. Turner, look, I was speaking to your friend over at the Daily News in Philadelphia, the editor. And he told me I should call you, and I hope I'm not bothering you. He said, no, man, you're not bothering me, man, but it's only 6 o'clock in the morning right now. I said, no, you got to work, man. It's 9 o'clock. He said, are you aware of the time zone in America? I was like, what is it? What is that? He said, I live in Sacramento. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. You never heard of the time zone? I was like, it sounds like the Twilight Zone. What time is it right now? I was like, what? I mean, I was young, but I wasn't that young. I was still stupid. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he said, let's get back to sleep right quick. And I'll call you when I wake up. Okay? Is that cool with you? I was like, Mr. Turner, I didn't know about it. I'm sorry this happened. He's like, no, brother, I'm just going to go back to sleep. I'm going to call you back. I was like, okay. And of course, I hung up the phone like how can I mess that up? I'm like, this guy gave me his phone number. That was him. And I like woke him up. Like, I'm such an idiot. There's no way he's going to call me back. I mean, who does this? I don't know about the time zone. Man, I sat at my desk. I did my little advertising storyboard project. My phone rang at 12 o'clock on the dot.
Wow.
Maury Turner was like, hey, man. But, I don't know if you guys ever had the pleasure. Like, Maury, God rest his soul, he lived to be 90 years old. He was just, it was like talking to, more like talking to a jazz musician. Mm-hmm. He just sounded like everything was going to be all right. Hey, brother, what you got, man? Why don't you let me take a look at what you into, man? Let me see what's going on. I was like, Mr. Turner, I don't want to bother you. I just want you to know that like a lot of rejection has come my way. You might not like my work. I'm just telling you right now. He said, well, that's because that's their job, man. Let me see what I think. Why don't you just send me your stuff? I said, okay, man. I sent him my stuff, man. He went crazy. Like the reason I'm syndicated right now is because of Maury Turner. I kid you not. Maury went crazy. He said, look, here's what I'm going to do, man. He said, I'm putting together a little thing on my own because it's hard for us. Maury Turner was super supportive of Black people, Black talent, Black culture, history. I mean, it's not that I'm not. It's just I'm not anything like that compared to him. That was his whole thing. Was like,
that was his thing.
We got to go. We got to. Yeah, we got to stick together. We got the. So I was like, so what are you thinking about doing? He said, I'm putting together a Black syndicate. I was like, how are you going to, he said, let me worry about that, man. I'm going to call you back, though. And he did. He said, here's what I'm doing. He called me back. It took 3 weeks. And he said, a bunch of us are meeting in Ohio. Can you come to Ohio? We'll meet in person. And you'll meet the other brothers in the syndicate. I was like, yeah. Ohio. Yeah. Where is that?
Look. Spoken like a true Philadelphia. That's fantastic.
So I went to Ohio. Yeah, he put together a Black syndicate. I met Walt Carr from Ebony Magazine and Buck Brown from Playboy. And he had this idea that we would do an insert, a fully printed up insert, and just sell the whole insert to newspapers the way they currently buy individual strips. You know what I mean? So I was all in. I was like, I came up with a name for U.S. artists. Like, you see what I did there, right? U.S. artists was his name. Us artists. So he liked that. Us artists, man. It's clever. I like that. You a smart dude, man. See, I knew you got something. You got something. So I was excited to be involved with these guys. But one day he called me. I was going back home to Philly, and I was telling my friends I had met Maury Turner and stuff. They were like, "Who's that?" I was like, "Yo, man, he's the OG. He's the beginning, man. Like he's the Osiris of this. He started everything for everybody. He's the first brother to be in a newspaper and blah 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 blah." And then Maury called me up and said, "Rob, I've been thinking about what I offered you, and I don't think you should be a part of what we're doing, man." I was like, "Wow, why? I knew it. I knew that. When I was around those guys, I was acting too starstruck. I don't know if you guys know who Buck Brown. He died too, but I don't know if you know who Buck Brown. He was.
Yeah, I remember her.
He was in Playboy magazine. You know what I'm talking? He had the granny character, the horny old lady.
Yeah.
The horny granny character.
With the bowling pin boobies.
Men in the bushes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
booby. And it was disgusting. It was the most disgusting. But the work looked like it belonged in the Louvre, not in Playboy magazine. And it wasn't a black painting. It was just granny and white dudes and stuff. And Buck Brown was a black man. I was like, Buck, I don't know how to say this without insulting you, but I thought you were white. He was like, yeah, that's the idea, man. I was like, does anybody know you're black? Does anybody know this? This is a secret? He said, not a secret. I had to sell this thing. I had to sell some dirty pictures, man. That's all. I just had to sell some dirty pictures. I didn't think it would work if it was old black lady and all that. So, hey, she's a white lady. I was like, man, this is absolute. So I was real starstruck when I was in Ohio with these guys. And I thought my behavior caused my opportunity to diminish. But Maury said, no, man. He said, look, I don't think you should be a part of what we're doing because you're ready for real syndication. I mean, for some of us, man, we had our shot or that window was shutting. But for you, it's starting. It's open. You should be trying to get your comic strip. Then it was called Cherry Top then. You should be trying to get Cherry Top syndicated. It's hot. It's ready to go. Man, he said, I tell you what, I got a friend of mine over at United Feature Syndicate. Man, I'm gonna have to holler at that dude. I was like, what? He said, yeah, man, listen, I gotta go, brother. But yo, man, more power to you, man. I was like, wait a second, what just happened here? Yeah. And sure enough, man, I got a call from United, and this guy who was Charles Schultz's editor, this guy named George People, told Sarah Gillespie that she should reach out to me. And United was one of the syndicates who had rejected me and all that. But Sarah called me and said, do you have a lawyer? This is Sarah Gillespie, United Feature Syndicate in New York. Do you have a lawyer? I was like, yeah. She said, good. Bring him to New York. And a friend of mine was a lawyer, a real lawyer. One of my friends is a successful lawyer, a white dude. He's very successful, very, very well-known Philadelphia lawyer. Him and his family had actually sort of adopted me when I was a grown man. I lost my mom when I was 19. And this family, the Clothier family, Isaac Clothier's attorney, but they're also the heirs to a department store fortune.
The Strawbridge
Clothier people. My mom had met them. Strawbridge and Clothier, man. Like Isaac, they're still my family. Like Isaac Clothier said, I'll go to New York with you and all that. And I mean, only because my mom died did I know them. Like literally, I would not know that family. When my mom passed away, that family had met her through the school I was going to in high school. I went to a very prestigious high school called the Shipley School for girls. Like I had gone to a white girls school, like all rich little white girls, like the whole school. And they started taking boys in, and no boys wanted to go to a girls' school, except a boy like me who didn't know this was a bad idea. I'm thinking, wow, they got fields and tennis courts. This is amazing. You know what I mean? So, a very private school, and my mom got to meet some very famous people. She passed away. I was still a teenager. That family stepped in and said, we're going to make sure you make it through Syracuse, and they sent me $100 a month. I didn't even treat them nicely. I was like, I was mom for dying. I was mad at my mother for dying. We were so close that I felt betrayed by her death. I'm not proud to tell you this. I'm just telling you that I was 19. That's how my mind was. I was crazed by her dying. But they fortified me. They strengthened me through all those years I was in college, and just stayed like believing in me. And every holiday I can go to their house, and they were they're still like an amazing family. He's an attorney. He went to New York, and I signed this deal to do JUMPSTART, and it was still called Cherry Top. And I went back to my ad agency job, and this woman at the syndicate would fax me stuff. I need you to think about a new title. We hate Cherry Top. The salespeople hate it. They won't be able to sell it. They can't sell something called Cherry Top. I said, well, it's a nickname for a police car. You know, that my main character is a policeman. Cherry Top is a cop car. She said, oh, yeah, you got to change that.
yeah.
Right now.
That's great. Change it. Right.
Yeah, that's not going to. She said, Rob, they have to go out and physically sell this thing. So think about something that'll help them sell it, make it easier to sell, something upbeat and positive.
But how is Cherry Top not
cool.
positive?
And I would send new ideas. I think it was fantastic. I don't know what their problem is. But anyway, so I changed it to From the Hip. Now you shoot from the hip when you're honest, you shoot from the hip. So I changed the title to From the Hip and I was very excited. I did all these graphics. My characters it was the 80s, man. They're dancing around from the hip, dancing. And I said, I got a new title. She said, yeah, we got this thing From the Hip. This is your new idea, right? I was like, yeah. It's better than Cherry Top. Let's go. Let's rock. I'm ready to do this. She was like, I'm going to send you a fax. You can just circle the title. Works. You get this fax. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, back in 1988, you would have a machine in your office. Somebody would have to say something to you like a text today. Text it to you, but a piece of paper would slide out of the machine, make a lot of noise. Then it would come out. You could stand there and catch it, and they would tell you whatever you need to know, right? So I get this fax. I was working at that time I was at an agency in Princeton, New Jersey called Gillespie Advertising. And fax comes through. It's got all these terrible names on it. And it's already got JUMPSTART circled along with the other terrible names. And I scribbled in at the bottom some new name. I can't remember what it was. It was some new name, some hip, black sounding black thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. It sounded black and hip, and it sounded very 1988. And I was very excited about it. And and what you could do with a fax, you could re-fax it right back, right? So I sent the fax back. And I said, wait until they see this new thing. And Sarah said, did you see the fax that we sent? I said, well, yeah, I saw it. I re-faxed back the same piece of paper. I put a new thing. Look all the way at the bottom. She said, no. Did you see JUMPSTART circled on there? I said, yeah, I don't know what that means, though. I don't know what you guys are getting at. I'm not going to call my thing JUMPSTART. Look at what I wrote. It's now. It's right now. It's like, it's hot. She said, Rob, we like JUMPSTART. I said, well, I don't understand what it's supposed to mean. What is that? What is a JUMPSTART?
Right.
She said, you ever hear of Peanuts? I said, yeah. Come on, Charles Schultz, yeah. Snoopy and Charlie Brown. She said, yeah, we came up with that. Charles Schultz wanted to call his strip Little Folks. We came up with Peanuts. I said, I like JUMPSTART. I like that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's been JUMPSTART. It's been JUMPSTART ever since, Jack.
Wow. That's incredible. So, and Rob, well, you're in the space, right? And they're I don't want to say forcing is too strong a word. They're showing you how the game is played while you're in the middle of the field, right? And you were savvy enough to start to pick up on these cues. Like, we're trying to help you. We're trying to help you. Catch this ball we're throwing at you.
Right.
See that other guy? His arms and legs got cut off, right? See, you don't have any arms and legs. You still have your arms and legs. You want to work, right? It's funny because, as you know, the syndicates are often worried about things to us that just seem like nobody's thinking about that, but they think about these these, and they have a way, I guess, of sort of like enforcing their theory or their opinion based upon using other things as a success. So if they say Charles Schulz wanted to call Little Folk, and we said no, and now he's Charles Schulz, you go, okay.
Right.
But would it have not been successful if they had called it Little Folk? Really?
Right.
Do you think
no,
that
you're right. It wouldn't have made it. They wouldn't have made it.
You don't think so?
Mike, I hate to tell you this. It wouldn't have made. No, it wouldn't have made it. There are certain things that you can't fight destiny. There's something about Peanuts, and Charles Schulz went to his grave. He actually became a friend of mine, and he went to his grave not liking the name Peanuts any more than I like JUMPSTART. You know, I'm not a big fan of it. You know, nothing really changed. I think that over time I've gotten used to it.
Yeah.
But I'm still asked from time to time what it means, and people say, why are you calling it that? I'm like, look, it's not even my idea, okay? That's somebody else's. I do everything. I write it, I draw it, I put it together, I package up every single one of these every single day. This is 100% me. 100% me, except for that. That's that. This right here. This is that's the only thing that I didn't have anything to do with. So, but they know what is going to make it easier for the sales guys. And if the sales guys are going to have trouble, they're going to have problems. I'm telling you right now. And the sales guys would have had problems with Little Folks. And they had zero problems with Peanuts. But Peanuts got its big break because TV had no problem with Peanuts. CBS had no problem with it. They saw an easy way to sell specials based on this thing. It's a combination of a lot of things. The title of a thing means a lot, man. The title of a movie is everything. The title on a book cover is everything. You know what I mean? So, no, I don't think he would have rock and rolled with Little Folks. But here's the thing about this syndicate, like getting to a point where they're talking to you or even telling you what to do. Like, it is exciting. I was 20. When I signed my deal, I was 25 or 26. I was the youngest cartoonist in the whole country, like black or white. I was just the youngest dude in the whole game. You know what I mean? And I couldn't believe they were speaking to me and stuff. And I'll never forget, in 1990, I sat down with my editor. In those days, I would go to New York sometimes. I'm rarely in the presence of syndicate people now, but I was all worked up and everything. And Philly is not that far from New York, and I would go there. I like going in there. Like, they were right at Park Avenue in the MetLife building. It was in the MetLife building, Pan Am building.
Yep.
At Grand Central State. Gorgeous, right? Right. So I enjoyed it. You know, I would go there and walk around. And I sat down with my syndicate. And I said, Sarah, I think I could meet Schulz. I mean, you're his editor. You know, you're my editor, my small world and all that, you know. She was like, what are you saying? What? I said, I'd like to meet Charles Schulz. She was like, really? Yeah, no, that's not part of this. That's not. Why are you doing this? What are you trying to do?
Right.
So I'm a big fan. She said, yeah, every cartoon, everybody in here is a big fan. Like, he's not doing that. Trust me, he's in Santa Rosa, California. He's not doing that. So I got this kind of look on my face. And I was young. I was a kid. I'm sitting here like, oh, okay. And she was like, oh my goodness. Okay, I tell you what. Why don't you package up one of your comic strips? You know, endorse it to him. He does like that. He definitely goes for that. And whatever happens between you and him, you know, I'll make sure he gets it. You do that? Yeah. You're not going to bring this up again, though. You're never going to bring this up with him or Jim Davis or
right.
Like any of this. You're not going to do this again. No. I don't want to meet Jim Davis or anything. Actually, I haven't met all these. I was lying.
Yeah.
I met all these guys. Jim Davis is a sweet man. He's serious. One of the nicest guys in the whole business.
Well, we're about to change the name of the show to "I Don't Want to Meet Jim Davis." Go ahead. I'm just messing. Go ahead.
Like that.
No, it's all good. Go ahead.
No, I was all in. I was either a Snoopy guy or a Garfield guy.
Yeah.
It's like being an Elvis guy or Beatles man.
Yeah.
So, I had done a strip in my first couple of months of doing this professionally, where I mentioned Peanut. I mentioned Snoopy in it. I mentioned Snoopy by name in one of my strips, and that's the one I sent to Schultz. Marcy, the nurse in JUMPSTART, is in the shower singing "Hang on, Snoopy, Snoopy, hang on." And then Joe comes in, washing his hands, and says, "Honey, that song is not saying anything about Snoopy." And she's singing, "What?" He said, "That song is saying, hang on, Sloopy." Sloopy with an L. He goes, "What? No, it's not. It's saying, hang on, Snoopy." He goes, "Trust me, it's Sloopy." And he walks out of the bathroom, and she's singing. She's like, "Sloopy? What's a Sloopy?" Yeah, I never knew that. Isn't that funny? All these years I've been singing "Hang On, Snoopy." That's weird. And she keeps singing "Hang On." She keeps singing "Hang On, Snoopy." It ends with her just going "Hang on, Snoopy." It just ends like that. There's no gag. He just keeps saying. So I sent that to Schultz. Man, a few weeks went by, and then I got an original Peanuts from him. And
Wow.
original Peanuts is massive. Like,
yeah, they're big, right?
huge.
Yeah.
An original Peanuts is big. Yeah, it's like this is the pad I work on. That's the pad I work on. There's nothing on here. Don't get excited.
Yeah.
But the original Peanuts is bigger. It's bigger than this. It can't fit inside this pad. It's so big.
Wow.
And it came rolled up in a FedEx tube. There was a pink Baron. Everybody knows about the Red Baron, but Snoopy is going to war against Red Baron and goes to a French cafe. And he's waiting for the Red Baron, and Woodstock comes in dressed up like a World War II villain, and he goes, "Oh my God, it's the Pink Baron."
I love it.
The Red Baron couldn't make it. This is his assistant. So I was like, "Oh my God!" And right after that, there was a nice note, and he mentioned how much he liked the "Hang On, Snoopy" thing. He didn't rant and rave about it. He just, "Oh, that was funny." Schultz, he's a Midwest guy. He's very gentle, very sweet, very, very mannerly. This guy.
Mm-hmm.
He just, in a very mannerly way, said, "I got your Snoopy thing. I think it's funny, well written and funny." So it was something like that. And I'm thinking, "Oh my God, he got it! Like, he totally got it." Yeah. And he sent me this. Like, it was all heady. And like right after that, a friend of mine invited me to California for something. And at the same time, JUMPSTART was being considered as a part of an animated special on CBS. It never happened, but CBS really contacted me. He said, "Can you come out to California? We're going to have a meeting." So all this stuff was jumbled together. So a buddy of mine was out there at CBS, and I made a plan. My first time flying out there, and I flew out. It was great. And my friend, God rest his soul, Mark Cohen, was an actual buddy of Charles Schultz. He was a Schultz. Well, Mark Cohen was a collector, and he just knew Schultz. There's no reason for any of this, but he said, "Hey, Rob, would you like to meet Sparky?" I said, "Who?" "Sparky Schultz." "Charles Schultz, you want to meet him?" I was like, "Yeah." "You know him?" He's like, "Yeah, we're best friends." So I went to meet Sparky Schultz with this guy, and I show up on the campus. You go to one Snoopy place. It's like tiny Disney World. Everything is 3 dimensions. Snoopy's for real. He's like on a doghouse. Charlie Brown's big-headed boy, he's right there. Like, all this stuff is there. And I go in, and there's a big room with all his memorabilia and all his well wishes from the president, Jimmy Carter, and everybody. Everywhere, every square inch, all this stuff, right? The Red Baron is literally in a mural. He's flying over your head. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is happening. Like, he's in here. Schultz is in here somewhere. And then you go into like an office type setup. There's a receptionist desk, and my friend Mark says Sparky's office is right there. And then as he said that, the door swings open, and it's like 3 steps up, and then Sparky steps out and was like, "Hey, you're Robb Armstrong." I was, you guys, when I was a little kid, I would draw Snoopy. Like before I learned how to draw, I learned how to copy. Before I learned how to think for myself, I just learned how to mimic. I just mimicked Snoopy so often, Charlie Brown so often, I could literally draw them pretty reasonably, close proximity. I could draw them right and left handed. This is not a joke. I could draw. I was a magic thing. I was a freak show for my friends. I could draw Snoopy and Peanut right hand, left. I could draw them both. Snoopy over here, Charlie Brown over here. You know what I mean? I realized they were just simple geometric shapes, all his characters. I was like, here you go. Here's both of them. Boom. You know. He walks out, and I'm like, OMG, this is nuts. But he's so unassuming.
Yeah.
He's so normal. It's not like meeting a celebrity. It's not like it's different than meeting a rock star that you liked or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he was like, hey, come on in. He turns around, goes back in the office, and I follow him up in there. You guys, so the office, to call this space Spartan, there's almost nothing in his office. He had a wooden drawing table, a writing desk, a sofa, and a bookshelf. And he had books on it. None of that from out there was in his office. No well wishes, no framed autographs, not even Peanuts is in frames in his office. There's nothing in his office. There was only one thing in his office. It was the comic strip Hang On Snoopy that I had sent him. It was framed. It was hanging right over his drawing table.
Wow.
And I looked, I'm like, at first I'm thinking that looks a lot like at first I'm thinking that's a lot like JUMPSTART, whatever that is. Then I'm like, oh my God. That is JUMPSTART. That's the Hang On Snoopy thing. I said, I was caught off guard by it, and I blurted out, what's that doing up there? He laughed. Oh. I said, oh, no, I get it. Whenever you find out somebody's coming here, you just grab their work and put it up there. I get it. He's like, no, what are you saying? What do you mean by that? I said, I'm just saying, like, you want to make people feel welcome. It's cool. I understand. He was like, no, I don't do that. Why would I? He said, no. I'm not, that's not what you're seeing. I said, well, I don't get it. He said, Rob, JUMPSTART's good. He said, JUMPSTART is good. He said, JUMPSTART reminds me of when I was starting out with Peanuts. He said, JUMPSTART has what Peanuts got. It's got great characters. And great characters, that's the whole game. He said, but look, I know you're excited about the syndicate. I mean, they talk to you. They want to get involved in you. He said, don't listen to the syndicate. Don't listen to them. They don't know anything. They don't have the gift. You have the gift. I have the gift. Lots of cartoonists have the gift. There's not a single person at the syndicate with any kind of a gift. They're business people. They're looking to exploit your talent and all that. He said, they're going to give you ideas. Don't listen to them. They're going to steer you down the wrong path. Whatever you feel in your heart, right or wrong, you can try it. This is what being a syndicated cartoonist is. You can try it out. I try things in Peanuts. Some things work, some things don't. But it's my thing to experiment with. That's what you've got to start doing. But as far as how you started out right now, that's why you're framed on my wall. So yeah, man. And 4 years later, I get a call from him. And that wasn't his. I'm not trying to revise history and everything and make it out like I'm his best friend. I mean, I wasn't. but we had dinner like maybe 2 times or something like that. We talked on the phone like 3 or 4 times, maybe something like that. And one day he called me in 1994, and he said, it was about 4 years later. He said, "You in the middle of anything? You busy?" Of course, I was busy. I'm busy right now.
Right.
That's Jumpstart right here.
Right.
Like Mike said, every day, at least 2 every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "No, I'm not doing anything. What do you want to talk about?"
Yeah.
He said, "I'm doing a straight to DVD special for Charlie Brown. It's called You're in the Super Bowl, Charlie Brown." And I was like, "Wow, that's great, man! Congratulations." He said, "No, I'm not announcing it to you, but thank you. But that's not what I'm calling about." He said, "Have you noticed that all my characters have a first name and a last name? Charlie Brown, Linus Van Pelt. You notice that? Lucy Van Pelt." I was like, "Yeah, I definitely noticed that. That's true." He said, "Have you noticed Franklin? You know who Franklin is?" I said, "Yeah, a little black dude. Yeah. Have you noticed he has no last name?" I said, I kind of thought maybe that was his last name." He said, "No, that's his first name.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only character with no last name. That's not right. When you agree that's not right?" I said, "No, man, whatever you want to do, man, it's cool, it's fine, you know." He said, "No, it's not okay. Because in this special I'm doing, all the characters are announced over a PA system, and they run out and they kick the ball. Charlie Brown, he runs out and he kicks it. Linus Van Pelt, he runs. It's going to sound weird if that same guy says Franklin, and he runs out there." I said, "Oh, well, I can see that. That's a little weird." I said, "But people, they're not going to think about it." I said, "They're not going to hold that against you. He said, "No, they will hold it against me. How would you feel if I gave him your last name from now on?" I said, "Armstrong, Franklin Armstrong." He said, "Yeah. Don't you agree that sounds good?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Good. So you're not offended by it. If I use it from now on, that's not going to bother you?" I said, No, that's not going to bother me." He said, "Good. I have to go. Thanks, man." Click. And 1994, my life changed. My life changed, man. Like I didn't even know. It wasn't like it changed professionally. It wasn't like people saw You're in the Super Bowl, Charlie Brown, and it wasn't. That's not how it changed. We all need affirmation. Something happened to make us feel like we're the right guy. We're the syndicate was smart to choose us, or whatever. Something's got to be in your mind, in your heart, to make you feel you can do it. Because anybody who's doing it every day, whether it's my strip or Mike's strip or anything, we're all under an enormous amount of pressure, and sometimes this pressure results in great work, like just the sheer pressure, the deadlines being so ubiquitous. Some of you didn't even know you could do this, and this incredible stuff comes out. And then other times, especially when you're young, the pressure produces a strip or two you wish would never have been approved. But something like what Schultz did gave me far more self-confidence than I deserve to have. And I know it. I can look at my work from 1994 on. I can see a shift. I can just see a difference, man. And I didn't tell anyone. I didn't say, he named one of his cartoon characters after me, right? No one knew about that, right? No one. But
you didn't go get a T-shirt made
passed
with
away
his
in the year
face on
2000. No, but now that you mentioned it, I blew it. I could have made a fortune on that. So in 2007, his then widow, Jeannie, invited me to speak at the museum. She built this incredible legacy museum for him. It's a bucket list. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's unbelievable. Beautiful. it's as beautiful as any music. It's just incredible there. And I was giving a talk on a Saturday to some families, small crowd, and I told the same story. And afterward, Jeannie said, "Why didn't you ever tell me that? Franklin is named after you?" I said, "Oh, somebody here has never seen You're in the Super Bowl with Charlie Brown. How did you miss that? You know." So she said, "Rob, that's an incredible story. Like, was today the day you announced this? Happened in 94. It's unbelievable." I said, "Yeah, I guess today's the day I announced it." She goes, "Huh?" And Jeannie blew this story up. Like, she's the reason people know it. New York Times did a piece about it. And NPR did a whole thing on it. And Jeannie's the reason. She said, "I'm gonna make sure people know this, you know." So I'm talking to my cell phone. Just give me a second.
Yeah, you're good. these stories are amazing.
So, they're not done, bro.
Oh yeah.
So
I love it.
All right. So, oh my God, my whole tripod just.
Hold on, I'll zoom out for a second.
Am I still there?
You're good. Yeah, you're good.
So, how would you say, or has your work process, because you were talking about your confidence or your him giving you the affirmation that you as a creator, you as a fellow cartoonist produced work of worth and merit. And it's always an important thing, I think, when someone you admire not only turns out to be a nice person, right? Because this could be the opposite. You could meet somebody that you really, whose work you admire, and they're like a shitheel, and you're like, "Oh man, why do they have to not be a nice person?" You know what I mean? Because again, I've had experiences like that. I've heard.
Yeah, I won't mention.
Right, but when you meet someone like that,
I won't mention. I never mentioned Gary Larson. I never mentioned Gary Larson's name. You mentioned Gary Larson.
Did
Hold on, guys. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's all right. Hold on, I'll take you off camera until you get your deal together there. All right, go ahead, Rob. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just wondering if your creative process, your work process has changed. Because I'm imagining now you scan everything and you don't send in bales of wrapped paper anymore to the syndicates.
Sorry.
That's okay.
All right, so Rob, tilt up a little bit.
I'm sorry, guys. My whole thing. Is my face on screen? I can't tell.
That's just your chin.
Okay.
Just move. Yeah, tilt it up a little bit more.
All right, wait a sec. Sorry about that.
No, this is great, man. You're good.
I've been zooming all day with no event.
Hey, you're among friends. Don't worry about it. Oh no, we faded to black.
Sorry.
We'll get it there, Rob. No worries. So while Rob's getting his equipment together, you're getting there. We would love anybody who's watching us for the first time that likes, subscribes, hits us up on our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date. Smash that alarm button so every time we post a new guest that you get notified. All right, I think that's really important to the longevity of the show, that you know what's going on. Hey, Rob, there you go. Looking good, bro.
Sorry. Okay.
All right.
So
Mike,
yeah,
what was
my process in terms of putting it's changed a little bit, but I still draw everything by hand. I don't have a Wacom tablet or Cintiq or whatever. I still work on paper. My roughs are done with a Papermate flare on a regular piece of paper, and And then my inkings are also done with a paper mate flare on a different piece of paper.
No, why the paper mate flare?
Words are not. I experimented with a million different pens over the years. I used to use when I signed my deal back in the 90s. This is an actual pen from my first year of syndication. I used to use a Rotring art pen.
Okay.
It's got the crow quill tip on it.
Yeah.
It had the little cartridges inside.
It's got a cartridge inside.
Yeah.
And I would just go through box after box of these cartridges. Real messy. My hands would be covered in ink. I looked like I worked in the coal mines after working a day or two. So it was expensive. It was time consuming. The paper mate flare happened around 2002, 2003, something like that. It goes on to certain surfaces very well, and it goes on to tracing paper very, very well. I was using it to make patches, to fix. I would take a piece of tracing paper and I would trace the area that was messed up with a paper mate flare, and I would glue it down over this other pen, right? And then I realized whenever I did that, the paper mate flare was faster and it would dry quicker and it wouldn't leave smear marks. And it wasn't messy. And I said, what if I did my whole strip using this pen? So I started playing with that around 2002 or 2003, and it just changed my life, man. I haven't gone back. The biggest difference is my originals do not have any words. That's a completed original Sunday. There's no words in it at all. The only difference is that now I do my words on a lined pad like this.
Wow.
So you just said wow. So I would just go wow, right? I don't know if you can see that.
It's a little washed out, but
there
you go.
So I would take wow and my signature and the date. What's today's date? Today's is
17.
18th or something. 17th.
Yeah.
So it would have it would have the wow, it would have the date and my signature, and I just scan that into Photoshop and import it into this other strip with no words in it. And that's how all the words are put in. The reason is I can write big. I can write huge. I can write with an actual fat black marker. Wow, it needs to be thing, and then you just transform it in there and it fits in there. And it speeds up the whole process. Instead of fitting in words into existing sizes, I can write any size I want.
Gotcha.
So you never had a font made?
I don't know. I don't even know how to do it. No, I don't want to do a font. I know the font. I don't want to. I don't want to. There's something about there's an energy to my my hand drawn pictures and my handwritten words that I don't want to lose with the font. And sometimes I'm not saying the font doesn't work. I'm sure it works for lots of other guys, but if you read JUMPSTART, you'll see that the kids are talking and it's all lowercase letter. And the adults are talking and it's uppercase letters. And the adults are whispering, it's uppercase letters, but I don't bear down on the flare. And if they're angry, like, you got to be kidding me, I'm bearing down on, or I've used a Sharpie. So, but it's all on the fly. It's just, now I've drawn up a font. There's a font in my computer. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, lightly. A, B, C, D, E, heavy. A, B, C, bigger. All that's in my computer. I come on. I'm not right. I don't use that.
Right.
It's tedious.
I know.
Stilted.
So you don't have an
assistant.
assistant.
I'm not doing that.
You don't have an assistant to go like, words McGee, come over here, put the words in.
Words McGee works for cheap. That's right.
You know
what?
Because I know a lot of.
I offered Mike a job being my words McGee. He turned it down. It was unbelievable.
I was just busy that weekend. I was busy that weekend. Because I know a lot of guys have, a lot of cartoonists have gone over and done that. They have created fonts, and I do the 2 strips. I do Judge Parker now all digital, but I still do the Phantom traditional. And the reason is I can sell my Phantom originals. I can't really sell the Judge Parker originals. And after 10 years, I can't even imagine. After 10 years, I've got like a giant. You must have a house for your originals. You mean you must have like a bajillion originals?
I have a storage shed.
Mm-hmm.
I do. They're in a storage unit.
Are they organized? Are they organized? So if you need, I need to see Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're organized by year, like 2002, all the way back to the beginning. They're organized by the year, but I mean, it's what I call archival storage. Like, I don't go in there looking for strips. I go there to dump new strips. I mean, thank God for Go Comics. If I need to see, if I need to physically see something and I know the date, I have an idea about the date. Even if I don't know the date, if I know I said it a certain way, I can go to Go Comics and there's a little magnifying glass. You can click on it and say, I said blah, blah, blah. Or I showed the outside of the hospital and there was an ambulance pulling up. You just type it in there. And if it doesn't come up, something like it comes up. At this point, I don't know how many comics we're talking about, but I've done one every day for 30-something years. There's thousands and thousands of existing sort of reference material if I needed this.
So did you do things like make up a reference file for like, this is what the bedroom looks like, this is what the kitchen looks like, this is what the garage looks like, this is what an office looks like, this is what the, so you could always go back, because I have to do that. And it's hard on something like the Phantom, because I'm like the 5th or 6th guy to work on the strip. Goes back 85 years. So the writer is actually very good, because when he will say, I'm referencing something from a story that happened in like 1961, he knows what dates and he can give me the reference. But since this is your thing, did you think from the very beginning, like, I want to be, like, I have this is what the characters look like. You might draw a character once, then draw them 5 years later.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you started with paper.
No, it's very important. It requires, you have to have a good record-keeping system of some kind. You also you need a good memory, because even if I had a thing that happened, the answer to your question, Mike, is yes. I have I have a file. At one point, it was in paper. It was literally in my file cabinet. It literally had their kitchen. Like, this is their kitchen. Yeah. And this is their living room. And this is the outside of the house. And this is the car. And this is the inside of the car. Like, I had all this stuff, and I just never used it. So what ended up happening, they would change. The house would go from left to right to left. It still does. No one's ever called me on it. Like, the house changes so much. The car has changed so many times. The hospital she used to change like crazy until 2015, 16, when she got promoted, and Marcy works in something called the Health Science Pavilion, and that's pretty fixed. It's a very fancy, futuristic hospital, and I needed to not mess around with that. It's so jarring to look at when she's at work. It's so stunning. It's got just a yawning look to it. Cartoons are tiny, so to create yawning space, you have to have built-in distance and escalators and people, lots of characters in the background. I started to do all that, and it required that I pay more attention and not start from scratch over and over again. So yeah, I got disciplined around 2015. That's recently. That's like 5 years ago, 6. So, but I was doing a thing recently, and I forgot this dude's name. Like, I forgot his name. He wasn't major. He would pop up. He runs the security in the hospital, with all the security. So his office has a lot of little TV screens everywhere, computer screens everywhere, and cameras and stuff. And they deal with security issues at the hospital, because there was a vaccine heist recently. and they got this attempted heist in the hospital. So when they were dealing with this, they called this guy Steve. Steve, blah, blah, blah. You know, Steve was just this guy. He didn't have any lines. He'd be sitting there, and then I forgot his name, and I was working on a related topic, and I called him Virgil. Virgil's a friend of mine. I wasn't trying to do Virgil a favor. I just thought Virgil's name is funny. I said, Virgil should be in my strip. His name is funny. You don't meet many people named Virgil. And I said, I think it's time for them to make reference to this guy's name. And they walked in, and one of them walked in and said, Virgil, what happened to the file with the blah, 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 blah? And after I did that, I'm reading Go Comics like the next day, and I had called him Steve. Like I don't even remember calling this guy Steve. But I do know that the day prior, I wrote that he's named Virgil. Now, there's like a month long, there's like a 6-week lag in terms of what I'm writing right now.
Yeah.
What people are going to see in the paper. It's like 6 weeks in there. So I'm like, I have to rectify this in the next 6 weeks. And so 6 weeks later, they walk to his office and they use his entire name, first name, last name. And guess what? His name is Stephen Virgil now.
Nice.
I just said, screw it. I called. She said, you're not talking about Stephen Virgil, are you? You know.
That's
yeah.
nice.
Do you trust that guy? You know, it's the whole thing about trust. So yeah, you have to be on top of your own material for sure.
Now, what about things like, because I've gone through this on Judge Parker. I've been doing Judge Parker 11 years, like we've talked about. You've been doing your strip like 30 years, 31 years. Now, when you started, people had telephone phones with cords. They drove 1990 cars. Now people are driving 2021 cars. The characters age, but only within a certain parameter. So how do you handle like having an iPhone, or not having a telephone, or having a VCR, or because technology is changing so fast, and your characters, you're not doing like Bringing Up Fathers, some old set in time strip. You know what I mean? So do you have a theory about that? How you deal with, because at some point they went from a phone with a cord to a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's for a long time in my early years in the 90s, I thought this was something I was trying. I would wrestle with this. I would avoid specific mentions of technological changes. I would just not talk about things.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm not going to mention a fax machine. I don't know how long this thing is going to be here. I don't want my strip to be dated. I'm not just going to mention it. And I started treating computers that way. I remember when Scott Adams, who does Dilbert, got a hold of me and said, "You're clearly dancing around computers." I was like, "Well, I wouldn't call it dancing around." He said, "You're not mentioning. I can tell you're not mentioning computers." Now, this is back when Scott was putting a URL in his strip, and I didn't know what a URL was. I didn't know what he was doing. He had an email in his strip.
Yeah. Scott
Adams at AOL. I'm like, what is that? So he was like, this is the key to my success. He said, Rob, my readers can reach me, can contact me. They can give me ideas on Dilbert. It's so valuable. Sometimes their ideas are not bad, and I use them. I tweak them a little bit. It keeps my strip progressive and contemporary. You can't dance around. Computers are here to stay. I said, Scott, I'm not doing that. That's like, that could be the Betamax. I don't know what that is. I'm not doing that. I'm not. Come on, man. Like, who knows? You're assuming. He's like, I'm not assuming. You have to online yourself, get an email address, all of that. And he beat all of us to the punch. Mm-hmm. He beat all of us. Like, that's the reason Dilbert is a thing to this day. He was just frankly ahead of the curve. And and I realized it around late 90s, like 97. He covered Newsweek, and I said, I better start putting computers in my comics.
Hey, Rob, I have some questions from the room if you want to check those out. All right. So our buddy Asa did the hard data. He did the crunching. He said that you have 10,950 strips over 31 years. Does that sound kind of right?
It's going to make you tired.
They're all right. Yeah, man, they're all right. Yeah, they're all right here. They're all right here.
There you go.
10,000. 10,000.
I love it.
Right here. That's
wow.
8,000 right there.
No,
they're right. They're crazy.
That's in the archive. So there's a question about the archiving. Our good buddy Eternity Forever says, Rob, will you ever give your archive to a library like the Billy Ireland Library Museum in Ohio State? That's what Watterson did with Calvin and Hobbes. What are you thinking about the kind of the future of your material? Is that something you think about?
Yeah, I have a lot of material at Billy Ireland. I was there in 2018 to visit it. It's like seeing a buddy in prison. You go in there, it's protected. You go, wow, there it is.
Don't touch it.
Yeah, a lot of my stuff at Billy Ireland. No one can touch it. There's some glass, there's telephone, and a lot of my stuff's at Syracuse, my alma mater. So Syracuse has a lot of my stuff. The rest of it's in a locker, storage room, climate. This climate control. I don't want to keep it in a locker. You know what I mean? It's there because I haven't reached back out to Billy Ireland, but I will. They can have. Look here. They can have all this. There you go. They can have all these. Right now. I don't know. They can have it.
So, Rob, do you ever sell any of your work, or do you have a dealer for original pages or anything? Do you ever get into that stuff?
I used to. I don't have a deal now, but if you guys know somebody, this is not a joke. I'd love to sell more originals. Mm-hmm. They're in better hands. They're well taken care of, and when someone buys them, they're not flimsy. Like right now, they're flimsy. Yeah, it's flim. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Sell it to somebody. I mount it up real nice. I don't frame it, but I mount it up on foam core. Put a flap of acid-free paper over it. I write something nice on it. Mm-hmm. I used to sell a lot of stuff before the year 2000, like in the 90s. I would sell stuff. I even had a guy who was brokering it for me. He passed away, and I just stopped paying attention to it. But I would love to. If you have a listener out there, or Jamar wants to do it, I don't know whether. Mike is too busy.
I got a Scholastic deal, bro. I got my own thing to do. But yeah, we between
you
all
of us,
I
don't mean it's so. Jamar's like no.
No, yeah, I'm full up. But I do know a couple of comic book guys who have art dealers. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. Hold on. Asa says 31 years is 11,315. He bumped you up a little bit. I do have a couple of questions in here, bro. we got the math going on. Hold on one second. Okay, here it is. So JRD says, given how long Jumpstart has been going, how many times a day do you think to yourself watching a movie or show, that sounds familiar? Like, do you catch, I don't know, other things in pop culture, like using your stuff or even not, I will never ask another cartoonist where you get your idea. I'm never going to ask that, but it's kind of like, where do you store all of that at?
I remember, man, this had to be This was early 90s. It was a TV show on NBC called Wings. You probably never heard of it. It came and went. But I was watching this show called Wings on NBC, and an entire JUMPSTART Sunday, an entire word for word. And I was really new. I was young. I was still in my 20s, and watching this TV show, I'm like, you can't be serious. Like, and it was very specific. It was they ripped me off. They just took this whole, a Sunday strip is perfect for TV. It's long. There's lots of dialogue back and forth. It starts in a punchy, kind of jokey way because a typical Sunday has two funny parts in it. It's got what they call a throwaway, which is the top tier. So the throwaway gag has a little funny bit usually in it. So this top tier right here is a gag, really, and then it continues, and then there's a gag at the end, right back here. There's a gag here. So if you're in TV and you're going to steal from a cartoonist, like steal from a Sunday, because it's formatted like the way the joke is before sitcom starts, before the credits roll. There's a back and forth banter that ends in a kind of punchy way, and then they cut to the credits, right? And that's what they did on Wings. They took an entire Sunday JUMPSTART and just ran it, and then cut to the credits. And I was like, I'm suing them. I am suing them, right? And I called my syndicate the next morning and said, we should sue them. And he said, why? What happened? I said, they stole a whole Sunday strip from me. She said, so who is this that stole it? I said, it's the show on NBC. She said, NBC. NBC, yeah, we're not suing them. we're not. Don't worry about it. Like, what do you mean? She said, it's not a smart move. Forget it. Let them have it.
They can't even get Tim Daly to come. Tim Daly to come and leave a message on your answering machine.
That's great.
No, but she was right in a way. I don't want to sound like I'm an easy mark, but I'm not interested in suing. Like I was so new at it then that I thought I better protect my IP. JUMPSTART's been borrowed from and been out on loan so many times over these 30 years. I've seen this happen. It doesn't happen every day. I saw a big Disney movie. I think the whole premise of the movie was it. In those days, one of my characters would visit herself at different ages. She was about 9 years old, but she would talk to herself when she was a baby, and she would talk to herself as a teenager, and she talked to herself as a grown-up, and she talked to herself as an old lady. This character, Sunny, in JUMPSTART would do that back and forth. I would show the passing of time because, like you said, my characters aren't aging in real time. This allowed me to deal with how life changes versus when you're 9 or when you're 90. When you're 10 versus being 16. And I was able to deal with that content-wise by having Sunny be in her own presence, talking to herself. And you guys, this little formula started getting ripped off so much. It was a whole Disney movie based on it. They're called The Kid, and then there was in all these new TV commercials. There's always some guy. This is me when I'm old. I'm just like, well, you know what? At this point, I can't use it. Yeah. Like, ironically, anymore, I can't do it because it makes it look like I'm watching too much TV.
Right. Well, you're so much you've influenced
Disney or something.
Right. So it's like the reverse influence, right? Like you influence culture, then the culture influences you back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the culture owns by you as the creator of something. It's a little bit short-sighted, a little bit immature to have too much pride of ownership. It's the sin of being young more than anything else. And I had such pride of ownership. I thought of that. I did that first and all that. It's not something I'm doing now.
Right.
I really am flattered now when I see remnants. I see the influence of my work. I realize that from a legacy standpoint, from a footprint, just from the standpoint of immortality, there's a permanency to what I'm doing. And it's not just flattering, and it's not just special. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable to know that when you do something, it will not die, even if your flesh does. So today I feel really like moved, almost like I see my stuff and this or that. I'm just like, wow, it's moving. I'm just touched by it. And if you're thinking, well, shouldn't you be rewarded though, man? If they're out here doing your stuff, why don't they give you a TV show? And why don't they do a movie with that? Dude, come on, man. First of all, I'm currently in development for a TV show. Like, there's currently a production. I've got a deal right now to do a JUMPSTART show. Is this thing going to end up on TV? I hope.
Yeah.
the cartoonist shrug. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
A lot of things never make it past the pilot, or don't even make it to the pilot. Yeah. Now, can you describe for us that's a little bit of your weekly process? Do you write certain days and then draw certain days and then ink certain days? How does your the structure of you producing the strip?
Yeah, I work on some aspect of my strip every day, including on weekends. So when I get up in the morning, Mike, you said something very eerie and so true. I think it's a mistake, if you're a young cartoonist and watching this, I think it's a mistake to work only when you feel inspired to work. Only when you're all worked up. That's when you go to work. The cartoonist just goes down there and sits in that chair, man. Mike, you're right. Dude, that's my whole thing. My whole thing is just get some coffee going. If there's any challenge in my day, it's that. It's like, get up, get the filter out, and make some coffee. Right? And then I come down here and I turn on sometimes I turn the TV on. And other times I don't. I sit quietly down here. I put music on sometimes, but only for a few minutes. It's like 5 or 10 minutes. And then out of this kind of weird foggy state from sleeping. And as long as I'm in my chair, everything is in reach. All my stuff is like right here. Whenever I need anything, you notice I don't run around my office looking for things. Everything is, you can see it looks crazy in here, but everything is right here. And I put everything out. And I'm so grateful to God. Like COVID came and like wiped out millions of people, and all these people lost their jobs, and three of my closest friends got real sick from COVID-19. And not only do I not have to go anywhere, like COVID didn't change my routine at all. Like it was just like something. It was just something on TV. Like, wow, I come down and turn the TV on. Like, this is crazy. So, if anything, things were like, wow. That's what some producer called me. Like, we'd love to do a TV show based on JUMPSTART. I'm like, that's great. Let's go for it. Let's rock and roll. Again, who knows? And honestly, I'm not going to speep badly about that. That's thrilling. It's thrilling. Like I said, people losing their jobs and going crazy and dying, and some guys calling me like, let's make a show. I'm like, wow, that's exciting. That's cool. But honestly, I consider myself to have the best job in the world, to have the best life in the world, to be 100% self-sufficient. And then this pandemic hits and people are stuck at home reading JUMPSTART. Like, they're stuck on their computer, on Go Comics. I mean, I was buried deep into Go Comics before COVID. Like, to find Jumpstart, I had to tell my friends, when you go to the letter J, you scroll down, you get to the letters, and you go to J, and then you go down, and then you get to Jumpstart, and that's my strip. Like, this COVID thing hit, George Floyd got murdered in front of everybody. My syndicate called me like, we're going to put Jumpstart front and center on the Go Comics site. I was like, you're going to do what? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the logo. Jumpstart is the logo. Like, when you click on Go Comics, you're going to see the strip. And I was like, this is based on what?
Right. Right.
Well, we've giving you short shrift. You never get the respect you deserve, man. It's time to change it. I was like, well, I couldn't agree more. That's great. So, yeah, so things just like, and guys, I do not feel comfortable saying things really looked up for me. No. After the death of George Floyd. Things really got better for me when they came. I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Or happy about it. I'm just saying that because the world changed, this comic strip about this cop married to this nurse, surrounded by all these frontline workers, the world literally caught up with me. Back in the days of people borrowing an occasional Sunday strip and all that other kind of stuff, it was foreshadowing. It was foreshadowing of something Sparky Schultz had told me in 1990. You're the right guy in the right place at the right time. With characters, that's the whole thing. And one day it came true. It took decades. But suddenly the world is like going, you're the police officer and this and that, and the nurse and the pandemic and the vaccine, characters walk around with the face mask and all that. We should do a whole thing. And the world just caught up to me. It is what it is. I mean, I'm just happy to be that person.
Well, what's very interesting about all this, Rob, and it's we started doing the video version of the podcast right at the beginning of the go home order. So like the beginning of April, we went live with video. Before that, we were doing audio. And one thing that we noticed is that there was a huge need for something like this. Like, it's almost kind of like a normalcy. You get to kind of see your friends in a weird way. But also talking to so many other cartoonists, it took a long time for somebody not to say, oh, well, nothing really changed for me, right? All the cartoonists say the same thing. I'm sitting in this chair while the world's going by me. So if anything is different, is that my whole family is home, and I gotta tiptoe around them, or now they understand what I go through being at home all the time. So it even the playing field with people's families too, right?
He hasn't moved. He sat there for 10 hours and he hasn't moved.
Yeah. What do you mean you've been in the same spot since I came home? Right. So, but yeah, I think, like you said, the world kind of caught up to us in a way that people had never thought about before all of this. When you'd say, "Oh, I'm at home working in my studio for 14 hours a day," people would never believe that's a real thing. You know what I mean? Oh, you must be at the movies or going to Walmart.
Yeah, it was all right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, or you would get this kind of they would pat you on the top of the head and say, "That's cute. Yeah. That's a cute job." Just before COVID hit. Like, really, that's cute. You kind of like a little child, like, that's so cute. Now people are like, "How can I get into that, bro? How do you do that? How do you get into drawing at home?" And it's like the perfect solution to this situation. It's very alluring. It's like, wow, it's wonderful.
But you have to have the right.
I didn't give the first question fair treatment.
No.
I do two strips every day, like at least 2 strips every day. And my current my current distance, I'm doing strips that will run in the last week of April right now.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you do 2 a day, that never catches up to you. Like, so by the time April comes, I'll be in June or July.
Mm-hmm.
My goal was actually to be a year ahead one day. I would love to be 1 year ahead.
Yeah.
It's hard.
So we'll see.
Know.
I mean, it's you know, but the
yeah, I think in the old days I heard that the old guys
discipline
had
is, Mike. The discipline is what you said.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, it's a little choppy tonight.
Yeah, no, some people. Yeah, some people retired young. There are a lot of cartoonists who retired too young, just so tormented by deadlines that they couldn't live with it. They maintained his sanity. They just bailed out young. I mean, Waterson's whole career was 10 years long.
Yeah, I know.
Entire career.
It was funny. I was talking to two of my younger.
God bless the guy.
I was talking to two of my younger friends, and one of them was saying, "Oh, they had just discovered, recently the Kelvin and Hobbes stuff." And I said, "Yeah, she's in her early 20s, so he's actually hasn't been doing the strip longer than she's been alive." And that just like free, like blew her mind that, you find something that's, he stopped doing it 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a lot of people who are in their teens or 20s where they find the collection. Go
ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I don't know him. I never met the guy, but from what I've read about him, he didn't like the deadlines. He didn't like lots of aspects of doing this. It's either in you or it's not in. But I know other people. I know I'm very good friends with Kathy Geiswhite. I know a lot of people who just had other things they would rather do. And I get it. Life is complex, and unless you have a little bit of crazy in you, you really shouldn't be doing this anyway. I mean, this is nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's like just go by what little kids. You go to a school, and the first thing kids ask you is, "I have a question, mister." "Yes." "What if you can't think of anything?" I'm like going, "Oh, that's well, I guess we have to see what happens. I can always think of something." I said, "Well, first of all,
that's
you
never
are
happened.
a child, and you don't spend the whole day quiet. You can always think of something to say. You know what I mean?" And I mean, thank God. Like the one thing I get for being on this long is history within the context of the strip itself. So even if I'm not bursting with enthusiasm, my characters are not me. They're not suffering from whatever is blocking my process. They don't have writer's block. My characters is living. Joe's a cop, and he's got a partner, and he's got a captain, and he's fighting crime. Marcy's doing all this stuff at the hospital. Like there's stuff that they're doing, and particularly around the mid 2000s, like I started to recognize the value of trusting them, treating them like collaborators, listening to my characters as if I did have. It's funny you guys mentioned you have an assistant. Like sometimes I feel like I have a lot of assistants, like almost 40 assistants, populating that strip, telling me this will be funny. I was thinking about, doing renovation in my house. Why don't you do a thing with that? And that way I'll be making all this noise and it'll be distracting to Joe and Marcy next door. And they won't get any sleep. And that'd be really funny. You can milk that for like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 strips. Why don't you do that? Like my characters are constantly weighing in. Like, why don't you, you ever thought about this? I'm like, oh, no, that's good. I got to hand it to you. And they're imaginary. Like I have lost my natural mind down here in my office.
Mm-hmm.
And these imaginary characters are on it, just on it. So it's liberating. I don't feel like one day I'll have writer's block. I don't feel like one day I'll be suddenly retiring. and I don't want to disparage or knock any cartoonist who retires. Any working person has a right to relax. So, I get it. But I don't really, as I sit here today, I don't believe I'm ever going to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever going to, quote, retire and all that.
Right.
My accountant sat me down and said, if you want to stop doing it.
I was just going to say,
what's your question?
I was just going to say that you sort of, you have to have the right kind of personality, especially to do a comic strip. Because when I did comic books, you do a couple issues, you might get a fill-in. You do a couple more issues, so you jump off and you do Spider-Man, then you go do Batman, then you do Captain America. You can move around, but you can't really do that on a strip. You can't say like, well, I'm not going to draw this month. Somebody pitch hit going to come in and do this month. I'll come back and do July. Now I'm going to go over and do. I'm going to go over and do a Heathcliff for a month, and then I'll do BC. Then I'll come back in October.
Right.
You really have to have. You think about somebody like Schultz, who is probably we hold up as sort of the pinnacle of the modern strip. As I sort of separate like Peanuts from Prince Valiant, right? Because you had the older classic strip guys, and then you had the modern strip guys. And to do something like that for 50 years, there's almost out of a 2,000 people, you wouldn't find one person who had the personality to be able to do that kind of. You would find many talented people, but not with that rare combination of personality, and it just would just come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very true. I think of myself not just like Sparkles. I think of myself. This is going to sound really self-aggrandizing, and I apologize ahead of time for saying what I'm about to say. But all of the great artists throughout history had a strange personality quirk, like there's something weird about them. So I think of myself as almost like a Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel ceiling. At no point when he was doing that did he think, I painted enough. That's enough, right? I mean, that whole section over there, that's more than enough. This is getting ridiculous.
Like, you got enough. I mean, you got enough.
It's fantastic. Look how gorgeous it is.
Yeah.
Right. I've been down here for 3 months. My back is now, I can't walk. It's enough already. Now, Michelangelo, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Sistine Chapel. So if you haven't seen it, it's worth a trip to Italy. I gotta tell you, I gazed upon it for the very first time in 2018. I can't believe a human being accomplished this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if a human being accomplished that, I can accomplish this. Like this, you know what I mean? It's unbelievable. You got to see this thing. I mean, I'm fascinated by Michelangelo, and I know what doing that ceiling did to him. I know it. He paid a toll physically and emotionally. It drove him bat crap crazy. He was partially paralyzed from it, you know. And I'm sure at some point it might have crossed his mind like, they are not paying me enough to be doing this. This is crazy. But you have to finish. How are you going to not do it? Like he knows one day he'll be dead, and there'll be people coming through here looking up at a half-finished ceiling if he doesn't finish. You know, some of his sculptures are like that. Like a lot of his sculptures, Michelangelo stopped doing them. He's like, I don't have time. I'm doing the ceiling. So there's all these. He got lots of sculptures with no head on them and all that. But he said, I gotta finish this.
I love it.
You just have to have a little bit of nuttiness, a little bit of craziness, and you understand, I've got to finish this. People are going to be looking at this just like they look at that ceiling. I can't sit here and start complaining about how tired I am. and how I can't think of anything. Like I'm in third grade. Like I'm a grown man. I'm a pro. Come on. They're paying me. When they pay you to do something, I don't care what it is. If you can kick a soccer ball real good, and then someone starts paying you, you're a pro. Your days of kicking the ball for nothing is over. Okay.
We don't kick balls for free around here.
All right.
That's right.
Now, what do you?
Are you kidding me?
What do you read a lot of comic strips? Did you read? I mean, we talked about Peanuts. When you were a kid, did you read comics and comic strips? And what do you read now? Do you follow stuff?
Well, this answer might surprise you, but judging by this interview, I bet nothing's going to surprise you at this point. When I was a little kid, I was really just an avid fan. I would just read comic strips, and I was trying to draw them. I wanted to draw High and Lois, and tumbleweeds, and all this other stuff. I would sit there and draw Dennis the Menace over and over. Like I was a little kid, I was fascinated by it. Then as I entered my teens, I became a big fan of Shoe, Jeff McNelly's work.
Oh, Shoe is amazing.
I still consider Jeff McNelly's work on Shoe to be some of the best execution of cartooning material, some of the most compelling visual work ever done by a cartoon. I met Jeff McNelly in '97 or something like that, and I just walked up to him at one of these conventions and said, I just think you're a genius. You're a flat out genius. Your work, the spectacle of your work really moves me. He was in the middle of eating. He was mid bite, and he said, "Are you feeling okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm feeling fine." I said, "I'm fine. I kind of walked away. Brilliant. So I was, in those days, I was trying to get my own sea legs under me and trying to figure out how JUMPSTART was going to look and all that. And I was trying to get syndicated. So like early JUMPSTART, you would never know this, but I'm telling you this. The influence of McNelly is strong. Like, I mean, I know it is. Maybe I'm glad no one knows. I never heard this from a reader or anybody. I never heard anyone compare me to him. But I would try to get my hand to work like his hand, to have a relaxed. It just looked like he didn't have a care in the world. like this just kind of flowed out of him, and it just looked the most casual approach to cartooning I've ever seen. It was like little tiny paintings, and I had so much fun with that desk with the typewriter on it and those papers. And so this intricacy, lots of papers, little ink wells and pens and blah 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 blah, just to make some dumb joke. It's New York. It's like the New Yorker. It's like all of that to say that, like all. So I'm a big McNelly, big New Yorker. I was studied in New Yorker. Bob Weber and those guys, and like some of the funniest cartoons I've ever seen were in a New Yorker. Just a lot of information in one line, just like one joke. I never forget. All of this old lady is sitting out in front of her house, and she's having a yard sale. And you guys, the whole New Yorker cartoon is this big. I mean, the whole thing is like that, right? But this lady's out in front of her house, and she's having a yard sale, and there's got to be 10,000 little drawings on her yard. It's just like stuff everywhere. And a couple walks up to her, and everything is behind her. All this stuff, and her house way in the background. And the whole line is she's jerking her fingers backward like this, and she's saying, "There's more inside." It's just, it's like, wow, like, look at what this guy was willing to draw to make that joke. And he's not scribbling and cheating. It's a sewing machine, a bicycle, and a little thing, and it looks like 1,000 things. I was like, wow, like, I would have been so tempted to kind of start scribbling, and you get it. But he's like, no, there's more inside. That gag's not going to work if I start scribbling.
That's fantastic.
So JUMPSTART's got that. It's got this thing, and then that thing, and then one of my characters, his father dies. JUMPSTART's got death in it, all kinds of stuff. One of my characters' dad dies. He's got a terrible father-son relationship. And his dad dies, and he hates his dad. His dad actually abandoned him. This character named Delray, named JUMPSTART. And Delray's dad dies, and he's got to clean out his father's, assets. He's got to clean out his, and he doesn't even know where his dad lives. He's got to find where his dad lives. Turns out he lives in this big warehouse. It's abandoned. And he goes in, and it's filled with a whole bunch of what looks like refuse. And I thought back to that New Yorker drawing. And I said, I got to draw the refuse. He walks into this warehouse, and he hates his dad. He's got to look at this, and look at that, and that, and that. And I can't start scribbling. I can't start scribbling. That's the old lady with the yard sale. You got to get in here, Rob. Stop being a little baby, man. Get your coffee. You know what I mean? I want your readers to I want them to walk around with him as he's kicking stuff and cursing his dad. And this guy gets so frustrated he calls a rubbish removal company and says, "Come and get everything." And he finds out, because he starts seeing his dad's stuff pop up on eBay and stuff, that his dad had amassed a fortune in collectibles, Beatles memorabilia, and all kinds of valuable stuff, ancient prayer rugs, 2,000-year-old prayer rugs, all this stuff just wrapped up in Reynolds wrap, and it looked like trash. And he's able to salvage a few things from the company, who has now exploited him and has sold off a lot of this stuff. But he go back, and this character is also an ex-con. So this character was able to enter society because he had a little bit of money he was able to put together by reclaiming some of his dad's stuff. But he had to take legal means to get it back from this company. And he didn't need a whole lot. He needed a handful of stuff, some Elvis stuff, and then he started a new life in society. It's a willingness I developed to go a long, long way down a certain road to make a valuable point. There's no shortcuts. You can't say, I'm too busy. It's a Tuesday. I got things I got to do. What else am I? What am I going to play? Oh, what am I doing? This is it. This is what I'm doing. This is it. You know what I mean? I love golf. I don't love it that much. I love seeing JUMPSTART presented. I love seeing JUMPSTART in the paper looking hot, Jack. like Maury Turner told me, brother, you hot, Jack.
So you still get that thrill seeing your work in the paper?
Yeah, man. Yes, sir.
Well, I think that's an important thing.
I still get.
I think that's important. I think people assume that maybe we become blasé after a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know.
That's Well, you know, I
mean,
think we should
listen. The blase that yeah, that's a sign of that thing you just described. I suppose it could happen. I suppose there's been days. I don't know. I don't believe I fall into that, but it might. You could say, look at you. Like, I don't see a whole lot of stuff on your drawing board right now. But that's because tomorrow I have fewer Zooms. There's a lot of Zooms today. This was a crazy Zoom day. Good thing, and I had a whole nother thing. But tomorrow I have a dentist appointment, and then it's on, baby. So I don't think that I don't think it would be I don't want to get religious on you right now, but I'm about to. I don't think it will be pleasing to God if I started treating this blase. Because he remembered what it took to get me syndicated. I remember not being syndicated. I remember not being a syndicated cartoonist. Like, I know exactly what it felt like getting rejection letters. I remember it. It's very vivid. All my rejection letters are right here. Guys, I'm not going to drag them in front of you unless you want me to. They're literally right. I mean, I'm not even kidding. They're literally right there.
So you can pull it out and look at it.
They're in a loose leaf book at my ankle. Yeah. I mean, like, dude, why would I not? That's incredible.
Do you have them by your ankle so you can kick them?
Syndicate after syndicate. I can kick them up. I just kick. You hear that? I'm kicking it right now. This is all of the big. This is everybody. This is Tribune Media, United Feature Syndicate. Used to be Universal Press, Washington Post Writers Group. All of them. Get out of here. Get out. Nah. Here's your stuff back. We don't like it. You need to work on your writing. Your artwork is weak. You need your concept is poor. We can't. So no, I don't. You know, I might forget about the groceries, but I don't forget about that.
Hey, Rob, we're going to start wrapping this up. This has been fantastic. You've been an amazing guest. I hope you've enjoyed our chat. I have one last question from the room.
I have.
And then we'll let you go. Our buddy Tim Fielder asked, Rob, what are your feelings about the present state of the comic strip industry? Your thoughts?
I'm not the best. I'm not the best person to ask about it. And I'm not proud of what I'm about to say, but like after Schultz passed away in the year 2000, I stopped being an avid reader of other strips. I decided to focus on JUMPSTART. You know, by the year 2000, I'd also had some of those experiences I was talking about earlier. I would see my work popping up on TV. And one time I saw a bunch of strips I had done pop up in another comic strip. And the cartoonist who did this is a very good friend of mine. I'm not going to mention, I have nothing to gain from mentioning who this guy is, but he's a big name in this business. And he's a very good friend of mine. It upset me so bad, I called to curse him out on the phone. And I did. I called and I cursed him out on the phone. I said, "You got to be kidding me! Like, why would you take that from me? Like, why would you? You're in about 6 times the amount of newspapers I'm in. Like, you're a huge dude. Like, you're rich. Like, what are you doing?" And he said, "Well, you need to just relax with that, Rob. Just stop getting all upset about that, man. You know, we can take from each other." I said, no. We can't take from each other, dude. Are you out of your mind? No, that's not what this is. I don't take from anybody. He said, well, I could call the syndicate and say that you took those ideas from me. I could do that. I said, well, good luck with that. My stuff ran 2.5 months ago. Your stuff just ran this week. What are you doing? You need to just control yourself and blah, 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 blah. And that experience, I felt terrible afterward. I was, whether I was right or wrong, I just was sick afterward. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you're thinking, well, you better call that guy and let him have it. Like, I don't know. It just felt like it was awful. Like, all of it was awful. I'm sick to my stomach. I'm going, what is it? And it scared me away from reading comic strips, actually. This was a long time ago. This was 96 or something like that.
Wow.
And I stopped reading completely in the year 2000. But by 96, I was just sick to my stomach. Like, I'm scared to read. I'm scared I'll call some guy and poison my friendship with some dude. Like, I mean, I can see that people like JUMPSTART. Like, some of these people are in my business. Like, they're massive fans. I mean, how big a fan do you have to be to just mimic me? To plagiarize me? Like, I'm thinking, man, like, I never loved anybody that much. Anyone.
Right.
Not Schultz, no, I'm a big Mad Magazine guy, dude. Nothing's funnier than Mad Mag. I'm not going to plagiarize Mort Drucker. You know? So I just said, I need to just like not see things. And I stopped going to like, it got to me so bad. I stopped going to even a convention. Like, I didn't want to be at conventions. My wife is like, what's wrong with you? I said, I've got too much pride, honey. I got too much pride of ownership. I got to grow out of it. I'm trying to self-medicate. You know what I mean? I think time apart from everybody. I just focus on my thing. And maybe if I don't see it happening, I can deal with it better. You know? She's like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. You're going to become a hermit. You're going to have a giant beard like David Letterman. I'm telling you. So
I'm trying. I
actually apologize to that guy. Exactly. Like, Jamar, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It can drive you nuts.
Yeah.
But I apologize to that guy. He and I, like I said, we were friends then. We're friends. But I saw him kind of recently. And I said, you remember that thing? He's like, Rob, okay, look, it was a long time ago, man. I said, I'm sorry, man. Look, JUMPSTART, I had to grow into my understanding of what this is, what my role is, and I can't step outside my role and start treating it like it's precious, if that makes any sense. I can't treat it like I got this precious thing. I mean, it's out here for people, man. It's out here. Like, look, have at it. The way I think about it now is have at it, man. Seriously, just, I'm glad you like it.
Wow.
That
says something right there, Rob. Yeah. Well, I'll leave you with.
I got a call from.
Go ahead.
I got one more thing to add. I want to go. I want to leave. I want to just punctuate all that because it got kind of morose at the end.
Okay.
As if confirm everything. I got a call from the Schultz family I've been you know what, I'm not going to, something very positive. I'm not going to say what it is. I think I might have just signed something, not talk about it. But something really, really nice is happening with the Schultz family. And I'm very excited about it. And that's what it's all about. Like, that's like, we're not here for a whole bunch of fisticuffs, man. Like, good things will happen. You just have to be grateful. You have to be patient. But mostly, like Mike just said at the top of the show, mostly you got to sit your butt right there and just do it.
I love it.
Yeah, it all comes from that. I mean, people like to romance it and everything else, but you know, it's that consistency. When I would see somebody like Al Williamson or some guy I admired who had been in a long time, that's how they did it. They were there every day. They showed up every day. They worked every day. You have slow days, you have fast days, but And I had, come from comic books. Like I said, you're used to almost like sprints. You would sprint for 2 weeks real hard to get an issue of something done. But comic strips is like a marathon, and it's just like, you got that stitch in your side, you just got to run that stitch out. You just got to keep running, And if I don't know if you have ever taken a vacation, but I know that reading, when some guys take a vacation, they try to get so far ahead because they know when they come back, they gotta start warming. And some guys never really took. Is that true?
I went to Europe in 2018, and I got so far ahead, man. I did 120 strips in 3 weeks. 120 original strips in 3 weeks to go so I could go to Italy. So I can go to Italy, and my friend got married in France. I went to his wedding. My wife and I went to his wedding, and we went to Paris and Rome, and Florence, and it was great, man. It was pretty amazing. And went to London. I got some friends who live in London, so we hung out with them. It was amazing, and it felt good to be that far ahead that I could do that. That's months ahead. So 120 strips, you can take months off, and I did. I took a couple months off. It was great.
That's amazing.
Was it hard to get started when you came back?
Impossible. It was impossible, man.
That's great. All right, I'm gonna.
Back,
man, Wow. Well, you know what? That's really.
I had wine. I just had wine every day.
Well, I mean, I think it's exciting that you actually found the space to go on vacation. Because, one of the questions I always ask all of our guests is, do you know how to relax? And it's rare that somebody says yes. Right? Because, the things in your head don't go on vacation.
Yeah. That's right. That's true.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Thank you, man. This was really fun.
All right. All right, cool. Hold on before you dump out. Mama Carla says, you really rock, Rob. Your strip is funny and inspiring. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being on the show, Rob. We'd love to have you back. And Rob, where can everybody find you online before you go?
You can go to you can see JUMPSTART on Go Comics. Like I said, it's right near the logo now. You can buy my book, please. I need $1. On a roll. It's funny as hell. My book is funny, man. I'm telling you. You can reach me directly at Rob with 2 B's, Rob@RobbArmstrong.com. That's my email address. If you want to. It's not a secret email. That's my actual. I got one email address. That's it. Say whatever you want. Say whatever you want. I don't care.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Rob, for being with us tonight, bro. I hope we can stay in touch, and I might have to wrangle one of those original strips off of you.
Yeah,
that'll be great for the
We'll have to trade.
Yeah. Cool. All right, Rob. Thanks so much. Have a great night, brother.
All right. Nice to meet you. Take care.
All right, man. Thanks, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Nice to meet you, Mike. Bye-bye.
Well, that was fantastic. Sorry, you guys, if we had a little chop. The connections have been pretty crappy lately, but I think we got through it, and I think I'd like to see it on a replay and see if it smooths out any. So, Mike, that was fantastic. What did you think of Rob?
I thought it was a lot of fun. It was too bad it was hard to negotiate when. Yeah, I realized it was about a 3-second delay. It seemed like so.
Yeah, and he's not. It's funny. Like none of this should matter anymore now that we live in the future. But he's in L.A. and we're over here in Philly, and just the chop was a little bad. So I hope you guys bared with us. I wanted to give a little plug for next week. I just want to double check that I'm saying this right before. I don't want to give the wrong one, because remember this one time I think I said Scotty Young was coming on and I was a week off. So okay, I got it. So next Wednesday, our guest is going to be Tom Whalen. That name may be familiar to you, or maybe it isn't, but Tom is a fantastic illustrator who does a lot of poster illustrations for Mondo and some of those big companies. So when you see his work, you're going to go, oh, I know who that is.
I've seen that.
It's going to rock your world. Like I think he goes by Strong Stuff on Instagram. So
That's Strong Man.
Huh?
That's Strong Man.
That's Strong Man. We're going to have a lot of fun. And then after that, we're going to have a boot camp. And then we have a super special secret guest. Mike, a couple of people said that they wish that we told people who was coming up a couple of weeks ahead of time.
Oh.
Just
his name is Super Double Secret Probation Special Guest.
I like probation double secret guest. So yeah, we'll get to that when we get to Tom. And I'm excited. I love kind of like the new energy that Pencil to Pencil's going through. We've had a murderer's row of fantastic guests and people that you didn't know you needed to see, right? Like it was really great to talk to Rob. Rob's such a fantastic part of the culture that I don't think he gets enough credit. I really don't, and he's just like a testament to what hard work is. So, and he's also a Philly cat. So I gotta love that. So thanks so much.
To mail him some Johns from Philly.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to send him some chompies.
Some chompies and some tasty cakes.
Yeah, we'll set it up. I'll send him a gift pack with some pretzels in it. So all right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We had a great time. Like I said, if you haven't already, subscribe, follow us, stay up to date with what we have.
Tell your friends.
Please tell your friends. Hold on. Now Asa says, do YouTube reminders for the next week's stream. That way it sits in your list of videos as a placeholder. Don't I do that already when I do the signpost? All right, we'll figure it out. Thanks, Asa. All right, you guys, for our disembodied head friend, Brett Blevins, smiling down on us from above. I am Jamar Nicholas from my best bud, Mike Manley. This has been Pencil to Pencil. You know what this?
From Fetchin'.
Oh, there's Fetchin' down there.
Yeah, so he's decided that that's his new thing. He loves to sit right with me now when I'm drunk.
Oh, that's cool.
So he's like right in the chair.
Yeah, he's right in the pet zone. That's
great. Right. Yeah.
The petting zone. That's amazing. So, all right, you guys, thanks so much. You know what to do next.
Wash your kitty paws.
Wash those Kirby hands. We'll see you next week.